All right, away we go. It is a Wednesday podcast for you, me, Al, and you. What's up, man?
Oh, hi, Jerry. I got an email from an alert listener and had a question for the podcast. I thought it was a pretty good one. I want to
Okay.
see what you, and then so I'll give you his question.
I always like listener emails or questions.
Yeah. Okay. So this guy says, big FAN fan moved to Pennsylvania about 15 years ago. He was so out of reach of the 660 AM or 101.9 on the radio. He lost touch for a number of years.
Sure.
But now that we have the Odyssey app, he
Awesome.
is back in touch. Okay, so he says, I had a thought. I had a thought the other day that I'm curious to get your take on. I thought it's very much in your wheelhouse of ratings and sports adjacency. The Odyssey app and the rewind function are amazing. The warm up show, along with Boomer and Geo, are my favorites. With a busy day that involves me getting to listen 20 minutes here, 20 minutes there, I usually get through those two shows and nothing else.
Okay.
If I didn't have the rewind function, I would gladly listen to the other shows. I do really enjoy both BT and Sal and Evan and Tiki, but since I can, I just choose to listen to all of the morning show. Here's my boring question. Putting your program director hat on, would you rather have someone like me who is tuning in throughout the day listen to all your programs to boost each show's ratings? Or is a listen and you're just happy getting them tuning in for 4 hours, even if it's listening back to one show and missing the others?
Yeah, I prefer you listen to us.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's a good question.
It says, anyway, I thought it might make for an interesting, quote, boring segment on the podcast. The only other thing I'm listening to and probably my favorite of all. P.S. Please don't remove the rewind function.
Yeah, I agree.
Chris in Pennsylvania.
A lot of people tell me when it works, and it has glitches, of course. I mean,
Yeah.
I know they had a glitch yesterday, but when it works, a number of my friends have said similar things. Like they don't feel like they miss anything because they turn it on at 9. They'll start the show at 6, and they feel like they catch up throughout the course of the day. The question about ratings, I don't know how to answer that because, as obviously you know, Al, ratings aren't based on like actually who's listening. It's based on the people that have the listening meters.
The PPM meter.
Yeah, and then it's just a percentage calculation base. I don't.
Yeah, it's funny.
don't
Like if
know.
you, yeah, right. If you're someone who is wearing the meter and you're one of the PPM people, then listening on the radio would be most important. But if you're not,
Doesn't matter.
doesn't matter.
Like
Now, I did ask one of the bosses here. I caught one of the bosses. I won't
Okay.
say which boss. I caught one of the bosses in the hallway and gave him this scenario.
Yeah.
And he said that if you use the rewind feature,
hmm
that's good for 24 hours. That audio is encoded the same way the radio audio is encoded. So if that person has a ratings meter,
It would work.
it would count for ratings for us, just like it would count for ratings if you were listening live to BT and
That's
Sal.
interesting. I didn't know that.
But I guess it would go to the morning show and not the midday show.
Interesting. I had
Yeah.
no idea.
Plus, the companies now, it's not just listening to the radio, it's watching clips on YouTube.
Oh, sure.
It's looking at videos on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook. It's like they need everything.
Yeah. It all generates revenue, essentially. And I will tell you, even as someone who still listens to the radio in my car, unlike a lot of people, I still do. You know, even when I'm home now. So like yesterday, I had some work I was doing when I got home for a little while. And I streamed BT and Sal and the other, my Alexa. I played it for an hour or so for when I was on the computer, and it's great. I mean, it works. And I think too, streaming numbers are a big deal as well. Are they not?
They are.
I mean, that kind of helps. Also, if you're streaming, 5 million, I don't even know how they calculate it, but 5 million minutes a month or a week or whatever. So very cool. Well, we appreciate the support.
Yeah, it's a good question. Very good question. I think often about the future, Jerry.
Yep. So do I.
Not of my personal future, just the future. Like
Oh,
it seems like innovations in the world, and innovations come when we notice something that can be done easier in our current life.
sure.
We're doing something in our current life that says, man, this is a kind of bit of pain in the neck. I bet in the future we don't have to do this anymore. I had a really strange one for you. You're going to think is very odd, but this was a thing that I noticed is a pain in the ass to do throughout the day. And I wondered, could there be a future where we don't do this anymore?
The radio station is not moving to Bradley Beach.
That would be awesome.
All right, I'm listening.
In the future, I'm not saying 10 years from now, probably not in my lifetime.
Mm-hmm. That's sad when you say it that way.
Yeah. In the future, will we have to go to the bathroom? Like, take time out of our day. Like, before I leave work, I got to go.
Well,
Let me
what's
go.
the innovation that's going to suck out the waste?
That's what I don't know. Is it something where we just,
What do you think? We're going to morph into waste-less humans?
yeah, I don't see that happening because we consume a lot of bad food, right?
Maybe
So,
if you consume good food.
yeah, right. You still are having waste. Yeah, I don't know. Is it something that we can decide, hey, twice a day, just make time to empty yourself? But you don't have to do it like, oh, I'm running out. Like, you just go, okay, gonna get up in the morning and empty myself. Around 4 in the afternoon, I'm gonna
Almost
empty
like the body's
myself.
programmed.
Yeah.
I would say anything's possible, but I don't know how you're getting there. But then again, if you would have told me 100 years ago that we would have devices that wouldn't have wires on them and we could talk to someone around the world instantly, I wouldn't have understood that either. So
Right.
I don't know. I that's a good question. I don't.
So not crazy.
Nothing's crazy anymore. I mean, they basically have robot people that this AI is that they've created. I mean,
Yeah.
nothing is shocking anymore to me.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of things in my life that are a slight pain in the ass. Like having to pee is a slight pain in the ass. Having to poop, slight pain in the ass. In the future, will something be done about that?
You're going to be taking away a lot of private time for some people, though.
Yeah, a lot. Right.
I mean, Chris McMonagle, our overnight host, when his kids were younger, has openly admitted that he would tell his wife he had to use the bathroom, even when he didn't, just to sit there, lock the door, and watch Netflix for
Get a
20
little
minutes
piece. Yeah.
without having to do this or that or tend to whoever. That was his 20 minutes of just, I need to chill out. I'm going to watch 20 minutes of this show, and then I will flush the toilet as if I was actually doing something.
Yeah, I could see that.
I could too.
That's why I think like both men and women who have a busy home life
Mm-hmm.
and want some time to themselves, some of those people enjoy the commute
Oh, I agree with that.
because they're in the car by
Sure.
themselves. You can listen to what you want to listen to.
Yep. And I think too, for first-time moms, especially after they go back to if they go back to work, when they go back to work, I'm with you. I think when they get in that car, especially if the kids are well taken care of, maybe grandma's over, or maybe the husband stays home that day or has different hours. I think they get into the car and they say, you know what, this is me. I've been mom now for the last 4 months, 5 months. I get to be myself again for a little while. I think they do enjoy the commute.
Right. And do they, men or women, enjoy? I'm thinking about like a house full of kids. They're
Mhm.
young. It's chaos.
Sure.
In something that I would think is a pain in the ass, like going to the food store, is maybe a break for
Oh,
somebody.
absolutely. Of course it is. Especially if the kids aren't going with you.
Yeah.
Sure.
Right. You're going solo to the supermarket.
There's no doubt.
Take your time going up and down those aisles.
No doubt about it. What used to take a half hour now takes 3.
Yeah.
But you know what? You do what you got to do to kind of clear your head. See, I never, and it really wasn't by design. It's just having children was not easy for us. Now we didn't have to go through lengths like I know Gio has talked about. We never got there. Once we had our first, I was good. I wasn't looking for any more kids. And then we got lucky that we did end up with a second, but I never had the chaotic house because I had 5.5 years between my kids. Like when I hear people talk about the brothers killing one another, my first question is always, how close in age are they? And you get the answer is always the same. It's either 1 or 2 years. Once you start spreading it out, the older child it's just different. So for me, having 5.5 years apart, never ever had those. And it's not because we're great parents. I think it's because of the separation and the time difference between the two.
Yeah. We get to see that on social media. We see Moose,
Yeah.
Mark Malusis.
He's got 19 kids all a year apart.
He's got at least 3
He's
boys.
got 4 kids, I think.
4 kids?
I think he's got 4 boys.
And it's chaos.
Yeah.
They're hitting each other with
For sure.
swords. They're diving on each other,
Yes.
wrestling, tackling each other, playing football, baseball, hockey, kicking each other. Like it is absolute. At that point, you got to throw your arms up and go, I've lost control. When they get older, I'll regain control, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, there are things you can do, of course, but yes, I mean, I'm sure there are days where you do throw your arms in the air and just
Yeah,
be like, you know what, kill each other. It's fine. I'll be over here having a beer. I'm gonna be watching the horse race. As long as no one gets hurt, we're good.
right. If someone gets hurt, call me.
Sure, but that's where to me sports comes in so handy. Once you get them out of the house, in a lot of cases, they alleviate a lot of that. I don't aggression's not the word.
Energy.
Energy. Yeah, I was gonna say aggression only because if you play hockey or football, it could be somewhat violent. But I think you get all that energy out. You come back, you're a little more mellow. You're not looking to do 1,000 different things. You're not looking to wrestle with your brother. It's kind of like, dude, I'm playing video games now. Leave me alone. So that's where, and his kids play a lot of sports.
The people who train dogs, the first thing they'll ask, someone will call the dog trainer. I used to happen to dog whisper all the time. I used to watch that show and be like, my dog he eats my couch. He chews up the remote. He does it. And he'll always go, how often do you take your dog for a walk? Oh, he never walks. There's your problem.
Mm-hmm.
Like you just said.
Got to get him out.
You got to get them out and burn some of that energy so that when they're in the house, whether they're your children or your pets, they calm the hell down.
They're bored.
Yeah, bored.
They're looking to do something. So that does make sense. I never
Yeah.
thought of that. I mean, I never had a dog growing up without a backyard.
Yeah, same here.
So I never had to do the whole, we're going to just take them for a walk. But I could see if you live in an apartment or a condo or a townhouse, yeah, you've got to go take care of that dog.
Yes. Which brings me to another thing that I was thinking about while walking my dog yesterday. And I wrote down this note to ask you about. Do you think it's more, trying to think what the word, more like, not economical because that's money, but more, does it make more sense to walk on all fours versus,
As a human?
no, I'm saying a creature.
Yeah.
Is it better for a creature to walk on all fours, or is it better to be human walking on two legs? Like, which is more economical in your walking, in your running? Like,
Well, I don't know how many two-legged animals can run as fast as a cheetah.
right.
Those are four-legged
Or
animals.
a greyhound.
Right.
when
And
they're really-
dogs, horses.
Yeah,
I
horses.
would say it's more if the word you're using is economical or
Yeah.
whatever. I would say 4.
But
More
yet-
motion.
And yet we are higher up on the chart of,
Only because of our brains.
but we learn to walk on two legs.
Yeah.
So it seems like that's something other animals would strive for.
I suppose, but they're too dumb to,
Yeah,
which
they
is
don't
why
do
we're
it.
ahead of them, even though they could all eat us.
Right.
I mean, yet we're the ones eating them.
Although I did see a thing like one of these robot companies that's
Yeah.
developing human-looking robots,
Mhm.
and they said that the most difficult thing to teach a robot is to walk on two legs. Like that, our brains do
God, this
all.
is so frightening what you just said.
Yeah, like our brains do all of the work that you don't know it's doing to balance, to walk, to
For sure.
do it without thinking about it.
Yeah.
And when they have a robot do it, it's one slight thing that's off and the robot falls over.
Well, think about if someone has a stroke and all of a sudden, one side isn't working the way it's supposed to. Your brain is affected, even though like you're sitting there, let's lift, but yet it's not getting from here to here
Right.
because something is now off because of the incident that you had. But you know what to do, you just can't do it. It's got to be, and that's the whole thing about someone that's paralyzed.
Yeah.
Like it's got to be just incredibly difficult when, if you're paralyzed, waist down, neck down, whatever, but your brain is sharp. Like, God, that's got to be so difficult. Like you're telling yourself, just work.
Yeah, you're sending the signals, but
But the brain's not sending the signals.
Is the brain not sending the signals, or is the body not receiving the signals?
It's one of the two. I don't know. That's a good question. Because when you have the spinal fractures, if you will, or the injuries,
Yeah.
I guess that's where a lot of it comes from. I don't know. It's a great question.
Which is why also we talk about the robot walking on two legs versus four. They have those robot dogs or whatever
Yep.
which is why we talked about toes. Like if you got one broken toe, a pinky toe even,
Yeah.
you can't walk normally.
The same.
Because that one little thing is throwing off.
Well, but you can. It's all pain. It's the pain threshold. It's not that you can't. It's that that's why players take the shots, or at least in the past have, because it numbs that pain. And then you continue on like there's nothing wrong. And then when that wears off, you're dying from pain
Right.
because you've done more damage just to get through that game. So it's not that you can't, it's that your brain is telling you can't because you are feeling the pain caused by the injury, but you're still capable of it. It's like I always tell myself when I wake up with these just crippling sore backs, which has eased up lately again. Why I don't know. But when I do wake up from them, I'll always tell myself it's just pain. You're fine. Except sometimes you're not. Sometimes the pain is so much, it's like, "Oh, I can't do this."
Yeah.
But that is what it is. It's not like it's a little different than having, let's say, a compound fracture of your leg where the leg doesn't work properly because it's not intact anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A
Right.
little
It's an
different.
actual broken item
Right.
there.
A toe, while could be broken, if you don't feel that pain, you can still walk on it.
Hmm. I watched a very interesting YouTube video yesterday about Subway, the
Mhm.
sandwich place.
Yeah. Which aren't even around anymore. Are they?
So that's what this was kind of about, is what happened to Subways.
Well, wasn't Jared the start of the downfall?
I don't think he was the start,
Oh, really?
but that did not help.
For sure.
What really started it was this, according to this guy I was watching on YouTube, I forget his name, was the $5 footlong
Okay.
was something that became so popular that they were um, their profit margin on it was not great,
Well, yeah, sure.
but they were making up for it in volume.
Mhm.
But then as things got more expensive, that $5 footlong didn't work anymore. But it was such a great promotion. That's what people knew Subway as. And when you walked in or found out that $5 footlong was $6.99, now no
They
one's
were
interested,
gone.
right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah, just how well, he talked about that. It talked about the Jared thing, which
Sure.
clearly didn't help.
No.
They started allowing they were giving out franchises. Like if you had a Subway on in Hazlitt, they might put and you were successful, you were killing it as the Subway guy. They might put another Subway 2 blocks from your Subway.
It's like Dunkin' Donuts. I love
Yeah.
Dunkin' Donuts, but they are everywhere.
And then all of a sudden that eats into, as you're a
Yeah.
franchisee,
For sure.
that eats into your profits because now there's another Subway
Yeah.
2 blocks away where I would have come all the way to your Subway. But this one's closer. I'll go that one.
And it's the same food.
Same food, right?
I will tell you, and we've had if you go back to some of the thousands of podcasts we've done, I have told you my friend did own one in Brooklyn,
Oh, Subway, yeah.
opened one and sold it, and has since shut down because he was part of, I guess, the downturn of it. But
Yeah.
he would talk about how precise they were with the numbers. And when they sent you, let's say, 4 pounds of Virginia ham, whatever it was, or 4 pounds of turkey, they knew how many sandwiches. The calculation was spot on. And yeah, there was some allowance for, because the end of you got to throw out. But if you didn't turn in that amount of money before you made your next order, they wanted to know what happened to the rest of the ham or the turkey. And he found it just too restrictive, which is essentially why he wound up selling it for a good profit too. And he sold it at the right time. But I could see all of a sudden they're putting in these $5 sandwiches. I could see people being into it. They know the profit margins. Now things get more expensive. What do you do? Do you keep, because the one thing they say about Costco with the chicken is that people that those rotisserie chickens are still only like $5 or $6. From everything I've read, they lose money on those, but they also know that there's not one single human being that goes in there, gets that, and leaves. I would think the same thing with Subway. You could leave the $5 footlong as long as you know people are buying chips and people are buying soda or another sandwich with them. Otherwise, you're in trouble, a lot of trouble.
Yeah. They were also saying like the different meats were not equally priced, but everything was a $5 foot
And that's a
long.
problem.
So like if you put a meatball sandwich compared to a turkey
Oh,
sandwich, maybe that's a different
for sure.
price.
Yeah, I would think so.
But you had to, as a franchisee, follow the
Yeah.
rules.
Or they'll come take the store from you.
Yeah.
There's no doubt.
Yeah. So
That is interesting.
it was interesting to see the downfall. There's this guy, I'll get his name for next time, but he has a really pretty cool channel for things like this. He'll even do like what happened to Applebee's. And
Right.
then
Or like Kmart.
Fridays, Kmart.
All
Yeah.
these Fridays is a good one. So Applebee's to me still does relatively well. Fridays is interesting to me because before the pandemic, now I can only talk to the one that I used to go to that wasn't Hazlitt. Before the pandemic, it was doing fine. If you went there on a Friday night, you might not wait for an hour, but you weren't walking right in and sitting down. You'd have to wait for 10 minutes for a table. And it was a big restaurant. The pandemic hit. When they came back and opened the doors, no one went back there. And I don't know why that was, especially in a town that doesn't really have great restaurants. And we saw it. It was a slow death. And they closed the doors about a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago or so. And the Fridays on Route 9 in Old Bridge used to be incredibly popular. Gone. Now the Chili's line is very popular again. So now this could go the way of the Subway. Chili's introduced this whole thing. I think it's like get a meal for $9.99 or something. And you get the burger, fries, a soda, and a dessert for like $10 or $10.99, whatever. And supposedly from the things I've read, they've surged with that promotion because not everybody's walking in and getting that. But there's no way they're making a ton of money on that either, especially as things go up. So if they do away with that, what happens to Chili's?
Right. Well, they also did, I think Fridays, I think Applebee's. There was at one point when I would go to those places, and then there was a time, feels like years ago now, that I went there and I went, wow, this feels like fast food now.
Yeah, sure.
It's like the quality of the food changed.
Yeah, see, I don't ever think it was good. I always thought I felt like I was eating nicer fast food, meaning you sat down, you had a waitress, but at the end of the day, you were getting junk. You're getting burgers and fries and grill. It kind of is what it is. But it might have gone down. I don't know. He do one on Friendlies?
I don't know. I have to look.
Because that's another one. Baskin Robbins.
Yeah.
Like all of these, at least in Monmouth, I would say Monmouth and Ocean County, like I don't see any of those anymore. And we had them.
Yeah, there is one of the guys that I would watch about these businesses, because CNBC does a lot of these things on YouTube as well about businesses.
Yeah.
And now that actual fast food, McDonald's, Burger King, their prices are getting so high that they're saying, for a few extra bucks or just around the same, you could go to Applebee's
100%.
now. And now that's a different experience. So maybe that will give a resurgence to those places. Who knows?
I mean, I will tell you, just from the fast food standpoint, we used to go to, when the kids, we would go to McDonald's, not a lot. I don't want to say that, but I would say once every couple of weeks, we would get the McDonald's or Burger King or Wendy's. Never really did Taco Bell or anything like that, but those three specifically. Now I would tell you it is down to just Wendy's, and that's maybe once a month, if that. We go to Chipotle. If we're going to go somewhere, while it's not great food, I know it's not. It's better than that. And you see them make it in front of you, you feel like you're at least getting something a little bit better.
Yeah, then they got some backlash for doing too little with what they were.
And by the way, they still do that when you take out. If you order and pick up, they are not filling those bowls like if you watch them do it. They just don't.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting time for the restaurant industry.
Sure is.
There's a place by me that's been vacant, and I sit there. I say to my wife all the time, like we know people that like to invest in things. Like, why not? And she's like, well, there's a reason why it's been empty. I'm like, I know, but maybe because they sucked at it.
Yeah.
And she goes, what experience do you have? I'm like, yeah, none.
Yeah, no.
Yeah,
I would suck at it as well.
I'm out.
Yeah. All right, Jared, let's do the warm-up show. We did that together, you and I.
We did.
And tomorrow's Thursday, and we'll be back 5 a.m.
So